Welcome to Beyond the Velvet Rope with Neil Oates Jr., the podcast that takes you on an extraordinary journey into the world of luxury service. Join us as we unlock the secrets, stories, and strategies behind exceptional experiences. From anticipating VIP needs to crafting unforgettable memories, we'll guide you on a path to service excellence in the realm of the affluent. Let's elevate your expertise and redefine the art of world-renowned service. Here's your host, Neil Oates Jr.
Today's guest is Dr. Christiane Schroeter, a TEDx speaker, business and wellness coach, professor, and best-selling author. She's the creator of the Petite Practice Framework, host of the Happy, Healthy, Hustle podcast that's ranked in the top 1% of podcasts globally, and the author of several books, including How to Master Your Goals and Discover Your Superpower, two powerful works. With her blend of academic expertise and real-world strategy, Dr. Christiane empowers entrepreneurs to achieve bold results through consistent steps. Welcome Beyond the Velvet Rope, Dr. Christiane Schroeter. How are you, ma'am?
I am fabulous, and I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
No, so this is exciting, and we've got a lot of valuable insight to share with our listeners, to share with our guests. But Dr. Christiane, I said some things about you in the intro, but would you be willing to share with the audience something that was not in your intro? Tell us about you, ma'am.
Well, so one thing that wasn't in the intro is I am a professor here in California, live with my two amazing daughters and my husband. And I also work as a fitness instructor. So I'm a business and wellness coach. And the wellness really comes from teaching classes, empowering people, and leaving them energized to go on with their day.
Okay, so we've got a lot to unpack in what I would say a small amount of time, having your expertise and your know-how, your knowledge here. But you just completed something. We had to accommodate your schedule because you just did a very cool thing. Well, I think it's cool. Some others might be like, that's terrifying. But would you tell us what that is and what that experience was like?
I love that description because I got the same reaction. So on Saturday, I completed my first TED Talk. The reason why I'm saying first, because in my head, I'm already thinking about the next one, which is why I'm wearing this beautiful red jacket.
I love it.
When you give a TED Talk, you stand on a red rug, which is round. So some people call it the red dot. And then, of course, it is filmed. It is not live streamed. It is filmed, and it will be available on YouTube afterwards. So audience, when you walk away from this amazing episode, love to get your views on that YouTube link if it has been released by then. And of course, comment, right? Say something like, oh my gosh, this is so empowering, and I'm laughing, and here I am feeling you're giving me some amazing tools to lead a better life. So the name of my talk was How Small Steps Can Create Big Impact.
Okay, so you have perfectly led me into this next thing. So many of our audience, our listeners, or our viewers, they're sitting here thinking, I want to make these big changes in life. I want to live a big life. I want to accomplish everything I'm supposed to. But here's Dr. Christiane telling us to like small steps. That's not a sexy thing. So even before we get to this Petite Practice Framework, just where did your focus on the small steps begin, and why is that so important when we're trying to accomplish these big goals in life?
I think it started when people kept asking me, how do you do all of this? How are you a full-time professor? You work as a fitness instructor, you have children, you're writing books, you have a podcast. And that same question kept coming up. And I always tell my clients, you have to listen to what people ask you, because you could address this in various ways, whether that's a podcast episode, writing a book about it, or giving a keynote about it. Or in my case, I labeled my secret framework with the words petite practice. So petite is French for small, and practice really signifies that we just keep going. It does not mean petite perfection. We take one step at a time, and that means we are getting closer to our goal, one small step, and we just take action, and it builds momentum. It also, of course, fuels a little bit of your power because you're feeling I'm doing something and I'm actually tackling something that has been on my bucket list. So I have a very secret system that I will share with you here in a little while as well.
Okay, so Dr. Christiana, I hear an accent, and it is so. So, would you share that with us? Because that's going to lead me into some further questions.
Yeah, so the Petite Practice approach, it's French. I actually grew up in Germany. So my approach and my system kind of combines the European efficiency from Germany together with a human-centered design because I have a PhD in applied economics. And that's really the beauty of it. So it's a science-based. There's a lot of fun with it too, but at the same time, it also comes from my backgrounds and my roots growing up in Germany.
Okay, so now I am ready to take our audience just a bit deeper. And I want to begin with one of your books. One of your books is titled, if I'm not mistaken, Discover Your Superpower. And so you've already talked about discovering superpowers, small steps, consistency, goals. So would you share how discovering your or how the Petite Practice plays into discovering someone's superpower? Because you mentioned listening to the questions that you were getting over and over, and then all of a sudden you're like, hold on, maybe this is a clue. So how did that play into discover your superpower?
Well, this is such a brilliant question because that is frequently what I tell my students and my clients. So I taught more than 10,000 students in my life, and I calculated that out the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is an incredible amount of people. Maybe my superpower is I love teaching, right? So that is one small confirmation. If you get a question over and over again, it is maybe asking you, can you help me with that? Or I know you're really good with this. It should give you a little bit of a clue that maybe this is a skill that you know how to do just a little bit different than others, and that others seek you out for that skill. So I call this a superpower. And of course, frequently, not always, but frequently, it's also a skill that you are passionate about. So you're sharing that with others and they know that you're passionate about it. So they're seeking you out for it. Now, I want to emphasize this because sometimes there's things we are really good at, but we don't necessarily want to do that for the rest of our lives, right? Like whatever, like folding laundry or something like this.
Right. So I have the technique down, but this is not what I want to do for a living. I'm great at it because out of necessity, I've become very efficient so I can get it done as quick as possible. But I'm not going to sit here and do this for a living. Fantastic thing, Doc.
People say, oh, Neil, can you come over here? And I know you're really good in folding laundry. And you're like, deep down, I know I'm really good at it. But at the same time, I don't really love doing it. But here's the thing, because you're good at it, this is your opportunity as an entrepreneur to figure out what makes you good and how can I maybe teach others to become just as amazing. So you are the teacher that could share that as well and say, you know what? I am good at it. Let me show you how to do that, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to be the one folding the laundry just because you're good at this.
Right.
I teach on innovation entrepreneurship, so you can see I'm putting all different kind of ideas in your head right now.
And so on that, I want to speak to the entrepreneurs or the potential entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs who are listening. So you mentioned being a teacher, a professor. And so how do you balance between how much information you give away as an instructor, as a teacher, as a professor, because you want to help people and your heart is improvement, growth, and development versus the businesswoman who is sitting here saying that also I know that my skills, that my knowledge, my expertise is valuable. So there are things that I can deliver complimentary, but then also there are things that you have to pay to play. And so some of our entrepreneurs, they might have these great ideas, but maybe they are undermining their value and saying, well, it's easy for me. It's not that hard. I'll just give it to you. So where could an entrepreneur find the value in their superpower once they've identified that thing?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think that it's always better to give your very best skills away. And even that starts even with a lead magnet, because your first impression is so important and it will always come around. What comes around goes around is what I'm saying. So to think, well, I'm just kind of going to hold this back because maybe I could make some money with it, it will always somehow work out. That's how I look at this. So when I'm with clients and they come up with some brilliant idea and I help them in making it even more brilliant, I'm celebrating that success with them. And I think that's
Awesome.
really important.
Okay, so go. No, I want you to go ahead and finish that, and then we're going to go to the petite practice. Go ahead, ma'am.
So the one thing is that nowadays with AI, we're sometimes thinking, oh, somebody could just, my books, for instance, they could just steal my books or they could, use my framework, etc. So that's the one thing. And I love that is actually going to be the next question. As soon as I knew the small steps I've been taking since ever I was a child in my life to achieve big goals, whether that was a PhD, by writing 2 pages a day on my dissertation, or getting ready for the TED Talk by using certain techniques and practicing every day. That is something I thought I need to label, and that is something I wanted to protect, that word. So I immediately trademarked it. So if you are an entrepreneur and you have great ideas and you feel there's something to this that makes it uniquely me because it ties in my superpower. So my superpower, that European efficiency, that human-centered design, I wanted to protect that and trademarked it. Yeah, so that the terminology.
I love it. Dr. Christiana, for those who are unfamiliar, can you break down, because now we're salivating. Now we're like, okay, doc, you've teased us enough. Would you break down what the petite practice is and why it resonates so powerfully with entrepreneurs?
So if you have a big goal in mind, no matter what that is, writing a book, getting ready for a keynote speech, maybe it's even applying for that trademark. Those are all like overwhelming tasks that include a lot of different steps to get there. And at first, we're so overwhelmed, we don't even know how to get started. That feeling of being stuck and not knowing exactly how to tackle it. And we write down things. We have these to-do lists with 15 items on it, but we're like, I don't even know. So petite practice involves steps. So there's small steps leading to big change. The first step is you have to simplify your goal. So you take your big goal, you're breaking it down into small steps, and then you get started with one step, ideally today, because
Hold on. Okay, stop right there.
your
So,
mind.
Dr. Christiana, tell us why is, because you said ideally starting today. Why is that part? Because you felt the need to add that disclaimer in there. Why is starting today so important? Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, first she tells me to take all these big goals, break it down to small steps. I break down the small steps. Now she's insisting upon me starting today. I can start tomorrow. I can start next week. But you are not urging us to do that. You're saying start today. Why is that?
Well, it's actually coming back to my PhD in economics. So in economics, there is this principle that the future always looks more comfortable and convenient when it's in the distant. And the present is where you don't necessarily want to make any decisions. You don't want to change anything what you're doing right now because it might create some discomfort. But I'm going to urge you, you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. So by starting right now, you're setting yourself up for success, because at the end of today, you could say, all right, I'm celebrating that I started on my goal today. And that's a big win right there. And then tomorrow you have to pick it back up. Winning is not comfortable. So sometimes people think like you give a TED talk and you feel like the champ out there, getting there is really what you need to celebrate the journey. And sometimes people think that, whether you're an athlete, you're a keynote speaker, or you're an author, that it's just this smooth path right there. But everybody gets started with small steps. And that's really what is important to look at.
Okay, so that was the first thing. Break it down into small steps. Could you go a little further? But ladies and gentlemen, well, before we go any further, Dr. Schroeter, would you share with them where, if they're already locked in and they're saying, okay, I can tell that I resonate with this lady, with this powerhouse, where can we go to get more information and then come back and listen to the rest of the episode later? So for that person who's like, okay, I have to do this right now, where can we go to get more information on everything you're talking about, especially when it comes to the petite practice?
Well, the best thing is we just gave you a little teaser bit. And of course, we have the Discover Your Superpower quiz. It's free. It's available. We can pop that link in the show notes. It's also linked on my website. And that will already help you identify skills that you are uniquely gifted with and that you can share with the world. And that might even help you and set yourself up and how you can take that first step.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out the show notes. We have a link to everything Dr. Schroeter, Dr. Christiane Schroeter. And so you will definitely want to follow, connect, and subscribe to everything she's doing across multiple platforms, and including a top 1% podcast. I absolutely love it. But Dr. Christiane, your work focuses on empowering bold strategies. So there's this mix between small steps, bold strategies. And so when we hear that from the educational side as well as a practical application, what's one of or some of the biggest mindset blocks that you see maybe your clients or students have from taking those bold steps?
Beautiful question. So when I practiced my TED Talk, I got beautiful reactions from some of the people that I practiced it to. Some people actually started crying. And now you're wondering, why did they start crying? Because they have great ideas in their head, but they don't share it with the world. And they think that it is too bold or too big or too courageous to take that goal and get started, or they're nearly embarrassed to admit that it always has been one of their goals. So, for instance, I presented to a friend, and like I say, she nearly started crying when I presented my TED Talk to her. And I said, "Are you all right? Is everything okay?" And she said, "Now I know. Everybody thinks of me, I don't do anything because I don't share it with the world. I don't let them know what my goals are. I don't let them know that I actually want to fulfill my dreams. And I'm just kind of going day by day and I never get started. I need to take that first step and do it today." And it was so beautiful. And I said, "Do you want to share with me what your goal is? Because I could be your first accountability partner, and then I can check in with you and maybe even help you put some of those steps and stones in motion to get you there." And it was really powerful.
So the first thing I heard about you, when you mention or when you describe people's big goals, you use positive words. You said big, bold, courageous. What do you say to that person who has either heard it from the outside or likely heard it from themselves? Instead of big, they see or hear impossible. Instead of bold, they hear dumb or crazy. And instead of courageous, they say insane. And because you're encouraging us, take small steps for these big goals, be bold, be courageous. This is a big thing you're going after, when we might hear this is stupid, it's dumb, it's impossible. What do you say to that entrepreneur or individual that's listening to you right now?
I have three things I would say, right? The word impossible includes I am possible, right? So you are possible, you can do this. And secondly, fear of fail just stands for your first attempt in learning. If you fail, it was just your first attempt in learning. Just keep going, get up and keep going. And if you hear a no, it just means there's another opportunity, next opportunity. That's what I would say.
Man, I absolutely love those. Now, you mentioned that there is, or we've mentioned your background has you as an academic, right? So we've got the smarts, we've got the studying, but then also just when it comes to personal trainer, physical side, like fitness side of that, how do you blend the two in your approach to your coaching, in the approach to the Petite Practice, where we've got the mind and the body, where we're getting better mentally, educationally, scholarly, but then also physically? How do you blend that with your customers, clients, or even your students?
Well, I have this unique gift. I have a lot of empathy. And in the classroom, I sometimes feel when there's kind of this nervous energy, and it could be at certain times of the year, it could be when they have exams. It could be my clients are nervous before Black Friday because you don't know how sales are going to go, or at the beginning of the year, or when any policy changes happen, they just don't know what that means for the future of the business. So I feel that. And for me, the best way to diffuse energy, right? So if you think about your mind and your body, it's like this two-way road. One can always lift up the other, right? So if your body is maybe not quite in the right place, you're hurting, you're aching, you can tell yourself, take a break. And what do I need today to make me feel better? And vice versa, right? If you're maybe stressed out, as we just talked about, and I feel this nervous energy, get yourself moving. So your body can tell your mind, all right, so I'm nervous right now, and I have this kind of like energy about me. I need to get rid of this. You can't just like sit there. You need to move. So frequently in my classroom, I get these big Post-it notes and we put them on the wall. And I like, people, get up, get up, get up. And they're like, what? And I'm like, we're not writing on a paper today. We're getting up. We're going across the room. We're going to elevator pitches. Come on, people, let's get going. And I even put on like, circle song, that circle song. It's like a super upbeat. If like, for instance, we're doing like a marketing mix, put some like energy music on, because that's how life works, right? If we need something, we need to move our body to get the mind back. And that's always beautiful. And it's fun to see their reactions because they didn't expect it.
Okay, and that's where I want to go, Dr. Christiana, because here's what I hear, right? We think of a PhD. And when I say that, an idea comes in your mind, someone wearing a vest, maybe a tie, or a business coat with glasses on, and they're very reserved and very matter of fact. But you are bringing real life into the classroom. You're bringing the classroom into real life. One, I want to ask first, because many of us, if we're being honest, we're worried about either criticism or critique from our colleagues, our peers. How do you deal with that with such a vibrant energy and personality, and being willing to go against what we might see traditional norms, classroom, business, speaking, book writing? How do you handle that, being someone who's not what the student or client is expecting, but giving them something that they don't even need? Have you always been comfortable doing that?
Such a great question. When I just taught an intensive innovation entrepreneurship class in the summer, and when the students walked in, I played the song Summer by Calvin Harris, and it was like blasting, right? And I actually walked down the hallway to go to the bathroom, and I heard the song playing, like, by Calvin Harris, when you're gonna in the summer, if you know that song. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, it's pretty loud. And then I thought, you know what? I mean, isn't that what we're doing? We're trying to improve people's lives. And there is so much stress and, hassle in the world anyway. Why don't we just think about this as like a moment of happiness right now to bring some joy to somebody's life? Quite honestly, I have like the foremost integrity in my classroom. I always say the word grit. There's a reason why grit is in integrity, right? So when I teach, my goal is I'm going to leave you with the very, very best tool and the very best education, but we're going to make it fun. We're not going to look at this as like there's only one way to learn. There's so many different ways you can learn. We do word searches in my books. We do role plays with elevator pitches. There's so much more to life than just thinking about there is this one way how we got to do it. Because frequently those are the best innovations that come from just turning things around a little bit and looking at them through a different lens.
Okay, so Dr. Christiana, I'm starting to sense that you value every moment in life, that you value the energy that you give and get from individuals, from your surrounding. And so you don't want your students, your clients, your colleagues, peers, family members, loved ones to miss opportunities to enjoy this thing. But the reality is, for many of us, we have to work for a living or during our lifetime. So you talk about courage, like the big positive word, and you are uplifting, but then also with those small steps, those petite practice items, and being consistent. Would you be willing to share your opinion on how consistency and courage work together to build a business or a career or life that someone can love? So that intersection of courage and consistency to build this beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I love the courage, consistency. And I'm going to add one more to this. So right now we're looking at this Venn diagram. You have to have courage. You have to stay consistent. The one that is the third one that gets into that Venn diagram is community. In my classroom, with my clients, community. That's the third C. And I think that's really how you can get the courage, because there will be those people that give you that high five and they're like, man, that was a good elevator pitch. Or those people that ask you, did you stay consistent this week? Did you work on your goals? And if you have them, man, that's when the magic happens.
All right, so immediately I go back to what you were talking about earlier, your friend, right? That you presented your TED talk you practiced with, and then there you were like, hey, I've never shared. She's never shared the dreams, the goals, those desires, though that big vision she had. But what about the person? Because we are going to have those listeners who are looking for something today that if they don't get it with their time with us, they give up. And so they're saying, Dr. Schroeter, we hear you, but we don't have this community. We didn't have the right environment growing up. I'm an introvert, and I want to believe that there is a community for me, but I don't know where they are. I don't know how to find them. What do you say to him or her today?
The fourth C, coaching. You can hire me as your coach. I
Let's
would
go, Dr.
love.
Schroeter. Come on.
I mean, that's a no-brainer in my opinion. And my first name even starts with a C. If you want to add another one to that.
Okay, so right there, would you, and here's what I know. I know that I, even as a coach, I have a lots of coaches, and I understand the value of coaching, much like you do. But for those who are saying, well, this is Neil and Dr. Christiana just pushing coaching for their benefit, for their own benefit, but that is not the reality. Would you be so kind as to explain the necessity, for I believe that everyone needs a coach in the areas of their life where they want to improve? Would you share your opinion on that for us, please?
Yeah, and that's a beautiful question. And I love how you emphasize necessity. So let me just give you an example. First of all, you have an amazing idea in your head. Your coach will help you make the idea reality. That coach will be the person that gives you that high five. We talked about the consistency. That person will be the one that builds that community for you. You don't need 100 people. You just need one, a community of one. And then, of course, they are also going to check in with you and see, did you have the courage to keep going? You know how invaluable that is? I know I have a lot of drive in my life. I mean, I took two suitcases and I moved to the United States. No family here, no nothing. I have a lot of courage in my life. But then at the university, I had mentors. I had a PhD professor that told me, this is not great. You need to start over again. And so you need these people, because sometimes you just kind of diddle daddling along and you think there's always more time tomorrow. And you need that coach that tells you, this is absolutely amazing. I want more of this and less of that, because they look at this as like they want to make you shine like the star that you are. And that is exactly what we all need in our life.
Man, I absolutely love that. Keep going.
Yeah, I always think of this. Why would you not want to be a better person? I mean, you have potential that you want to share with the world. You're essentially stealing from us right now because you're not sharing that yet. So I'm going to challenge you, get that out there.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here from Dr. Christiana. Stop stealing from us. Give us the best version of yourself. Stop robbing your future self. We are in debt and we're waiting for what you have. And so I want to continue talking about, so I want to go back to some of the books that you've written. So multiple best-selling books. I'm seeing your personality. I see the energy. I see the passion, the drive. What is the through line that permeates really everything that you do? What message would you have for someone, whether they're reading your book, they're listening to your podcast, they are in one of your classes, they are watching your TED Talk, they are considering taking the assessment, or even watching and listening to this episode today? What is that thing that is the same all the way through for us?
You are your own brand. A brand doesn't just apply to a product you purchase in a store or a service. You are your own brand. It starts from the first moment when you walk into the room to establishing colors, designs, brand names. Everything needs to be aligned. So the one word that I always emphasize with my clients is, does this align with who you are, what your values are? And of course, their values are different from mine. But I think that the most important thing is all my books, even like down to the colors, the logos, and everything is very much aligned with what my values are, what I care about, and what I want to share with the world. And I think
Awesome.
you find that, it's like the magic has happened, right?
So I do have a question as we get ready to wrap this up. When you say they align with the values that you want to share with the world, may I ask, so you mentioned business growth, well-being, mental, physical, for entrepreneurs, for business owners, or even for the career individual. Why is integration of well-being so important, critical for a good business person, for longevity? Why do you focus so much on the total well-being and not just the profit and loss statement or the balance sheet?
Well, you could be the best actor in the world, but if you're physically not doing great, I think that's pretty obvious to us. And we're like, oh no, there's something like not quite right there. And I think always coming back to that airplane situation, you have to take care of yourself before you take care of others. So if you want to be an amazing coach, you have to be taking care of your own amazing health and then be the amazing coach that you are going to be. That's how simple that works.
Okay, so now we're going to transition quickly. You are the professor, you are the PhD and the teacher, the business person. You get to speak into the lives of students, right? Where you were sitting in a seat like theirs in the past. Usually I ask a person, what would you tell your younger self? But now, as your unique role, what are you telling to the younger selves that you are speaking to on a consistent basis, whether it's in your full-time position or if you're doing an intern or just an interim? What are you wanting to communicate to those young ladies and young men?
Every day, do a little dinner download. Right around dinner time, sit there and just reflect, what was my favorite part of the day? What was really amazing about this day? And do it in the evening, because it's going to create a positive mindset as you get ready for bed, as you sleep for the next day. Dinner downloads. Unbelievable how that will change your mindset and your perspective and your outlook on life, because it's really celebrating the small steps and praising yourself for something that you have done on that day.
That is awesome advice, awesome guidance. Now, I want to ask you a personal question, and you are not legally obligated to answer any of these questions going forward, Dr. Christiana. So you mentioned you had the courage to pick up and leave home 2 suitcases to come to this unknown world. Where does that courage come from, if I may ask?
Well, that's a great question. I think that deep down, that was probably the grit I always had that kind of makes you aligned with your environment, with your surrounding. So if you right now feel, whether it's the people, the community, or where you live, right? We talked about the courage, the community, the coaching. I mean, even that's like one thing where you feel this is not really where I can fulfill my dreams. Moving might just be the magic ticket. And that's how it worked for me. I was like, I have dreams. I want to fulfill them. And I don't know that this is going to be happening right here. And then as soon as I came to the United States, I was like, yeah, all right, we are here. We arrived.
So everyone sees you, they're going to hear you, they're going to think, yeah, but she's a Wonder Woman, right? She has all these superpowers, she's tapped in. You just mentioned you might have to move or switch your environment. Do we need permission to do that? Do I need to go and get permission from everyone? Do I need to make sure I have the plan 100% laid out? Because this, yes, is courageous, but it's also scary. So do I need permission? What might be some steps? Because transitioning, moving is a big deal. What might be some small steps to know that that is even an option for me? So do we need permission, and what might be some petite practices that we could take in that big step if that's where we find ourselves?
Oh, I have two big tips for you for that. And they're simple. You can get started with them today before you change your mind, right? So, first, if you feel that you have big goals, you have to say it out loud and share it with your community, because just alone by explaining, it forces you to make it real. Now, if you get some funny reactions from your community about it, and they're like, you want to do what? Right? Or like people are like really doubting you. I don't think you can do that. This is your first step. I mean, first step you told, but tying in with that first step, are these really people that you want to have in your life? You know? And this starts on social media. If you scroll through social media and you see a bunch of like slackers hanging out there, and you're like, hold on, following slackers. You know what that means in economics? If you look at groups of people, you are where you are. So you need to think a little bit about the birds flock together situation. You need to hang out with people that are the goal getters. It's that simple. Go through your social media, unfollow accounts that just make you down. You're like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, you don't want that in your life. I'm sorry. You need to follow people that empower you, that give you positivity, that courage that we talked about, the consistency. Find a coach that works for you, and then you're going to get results. Those are your petite practice homeworks for today.
Man, so don't be a slacker. Stop following slackers. You'll find yourself being the next one. So Dr. Christiane Schroeter, thank you so much for your time. But now I want permission to have some fun. Can we do that?
Oh,
All right. So I know our audience is saying, well, how can we have more fun than we're already having right now? First, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you go to the show notes, follow, subscribe, take every opportunity that Dr. Schroeter is making available to us, and then just fall in love with everything that she is doing. She is here for us to make the world a better place. She's giving her best away and making it available for us to be a part of her world as she improves it. So now we are going to do some rapid fire questions. And my attorneys have mandated me say you're not legally obligated to answer any of these questions just in case they are incriminating. So first, here we go. What is your favorite color?
navy blue.
Why?
Reminds me of France and like the ocean. I'm a water person.
What is your favorite food?
Salad.
Salad? That's a Dr. Schroeter. That's a first. Now, is there a particular type of salad? It's just green leaves and dressing, like, or tomatoes. You might not even have any special salad.
Do I just need to pick one item? I mean, like, it's this big bowl of like variety of textures and colors, all like in one ginormous bowl. Do I just pick one item? Because then I would think
No.
I do really. I also like smoothies a lot. You see, this is variety as well, right? It's all blended up. If it's not blended up and it comes in a bowl, I take it both.
So you either like a salad or a blended salad, which is a smoothie. Come on, man. Dr. Schroeter, that matches her personality. She is everything. I absolutely love it. Okay, so now, favorite superhero.
Wonder Woman?
So yourself, is that what you're saying?
No, that lady that was in the movie. She was fierce. I did like her.
Yeah, she was very nice. Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny?
Always Mickey Mouse. He's adorable. I mean, he's a cutie.
So Bugs Bunny doesn't even get an honorable mention.
No, there's something Bugs Bunny. Doesn't he blow up things? I'm not that person.
You got a great point there. Okay, a name that only your family calls you.
Blondie or Cutie?
Okay, we'll take both of those. If you could only have one book to read for the rest of your life, what would the one book be?
Ooh, I did reread the book B by Jessica Zweig so many times. When I was writing my books, I honestly read it like once per month.
Really? What is it about B that resonates with you that you still continue to go back to?
It's about branding, it's about finding your unique self. And it was nearly like my message to write these books. It was like somebody was talking to me, and there was this voice that kept going.
I love it. Best piece of advice you've ever received.
You're your own best coach. I mean, at the end of the day, give yourself that high five and just keep going, really. And I also like fail first attempt in learning, because frequently I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, no, that was just my first attempt in trying something.
So if you're like Dr. Schroeter and myself, you find yourself having many first attempts in learning, and then we just improve on the next iteration. What is one talent that Dr. Schroeter does not have that she wished she did?
Playing piano. That's an easy one. I wish I could do it. It's sitting somewhere in a bar, like, oh my God, imagine the students would walk into the classroom and I would kind of like hang out there on my piano.
Okay, so let me ask you, why haven't you learned the piano? Because obviously, using the petite practices, you could do anything that you wanted to. Is that something, is it a dream or is it a goal? And you don't have to answer, I'm just curious.
When I was in Nashville recently and I got my hair done for a podcasting conference, there was another lady at the hairdresser and she was actually a piano teacher. And I thought maybe this is some higher power telling me that I need to connect. I did connect with her and we are really good friends now. I think eventually I'm going to connect with her and I'm going to learn how to play the piano. And I also want to learn how to do horseback riding. But those are two very unrelated things right now.
Now, the doc, I do want to say, if your students come into the classroom and you're riding a horse while playing the piano, hands down, professor of the millennium. Like, done. You don't even have to show up for any more classes. They can just bring all your awards and all of the news crews. Good stuff. So my final question is, what does Dr. Christiane Schroeter want to be when she grows up?
Well, we got the horseback riding piano player out of the way already, so I guess that's not an option anymore. Keynote speaker. Yeah. I really like being on stages and share the one-to-many message. It's absolutely my jam. I love being on the TEDx stage. When I stood there, I was like, this is my home.
I'm home. I'll be back. I'll be back more frequently than you know. And so with that,
I'm jumping off the stage and like I'm kind of like doing these little jumps. And I remember that some people told me afterwards, did you plan this? And I was like, no, that's just how I felt in that moment.
and that just shows your personality. It shows your love for people, wanting to share one to many to make sure that you empower as many people as possible. I know our audience is better for spending time with you today, Dr. Schroeter. I want to say thank you personally. I am excited to do this or immediately coming off of your TEDx speech and presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, you should, if the link has been released, you should be able to find that video on YouTube in the show notes. If not, come back and listen to this episode again in a week until we have that link in the show notes here. Dr. Schroeter, I appreciate you. I thank you. We are better for you being here on this earth, you sharing with us. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave you as I always do. And that is that I love you. God loves you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time I see you or you see me, don't be average, be world renowned. Peace.
Let's do it.
Doctor.